$12,842 tuition refund just went missing, and my mother's Instagram answered, "Why two identical diamond rings?" Captioned, "Twinning forever." The post vanished after 27 minutes. But screenshots are shameless. They called it a family heirloom. I call it evidence. I know how to follow the money even when it runs through my own blood. My name is Riley Ward, and I am very, very good at my job. At North Pier Analytics, I find the narrative in the noise. I track digital footprints. I follow data trails. And I build cases out of scattered, seemingly unrelated points of connection. My entire professional life is about turning chaos into a clear, provable sequence of events. It was a Tuesday, just after 7 p.m., when I learned my job skills were no longer just for the office. I was still at my desk, the glow of my triple monitors a familiar comfort against the Chicago twilight. I was reconciling a client's server logs when a personal email notification pinged in the corner of my screen. The subject line was bland, institutional. From Lakeshore State University, Bursar's office, subject refund, disbursed, student ID 904B. A small, genuine smile touched my lips. That was it. The last hurdle of my master's. I had overpaid. A combination of a final scholarship payout and my own front-loading of tuition to avoid interest. The refund was $12,842. It was my nest egg. The security deposit on a new apartment. A buffer against the world. Freedom, in digital form. I clicked the email. The smile died. The text was simple. Your refund in the amount of $12,842 has been successfully disbursed on this date via ACH to the parent authorized account on file. My blood did not run cold. It froze, solidified in my veins. Parent authorized account. I stared at the three words. They felt alien. I had spent 6 years at LSU, undergrad and grad school. I was 24. I had signed my own loan agreements, filed my own FAFSA as an independent student for the last 2 years, and personally managed every single transaction. There was no parent authorized account. I had never signed such a thing. I would never sign such a... My fingers, moving with a robotic precision that belied the sudden, sick hammering in my chest, were already opening a new tab. My banking app, the professional one, not my personal one, the one tied to the old accounts. The login screen stared back. Ward Household Custodial, a relic, a financial cage built for me when I was 15, opened by my mother, Marla Ward, to manage my college savings. I had not been able to successfully close it or sever her name from it, despite 3 separate attempts since my 18th birthday. It was always a fight, always tears, always, "Why are you trying to break this family apart?" "Riley, it's just a bank account." I logged in. The balance was $12,842 higher than it had been that morning. The transaction was clear as day. H deposit, Lakeshore St. U, Stew refund. Posted at 10:04 a.m. A second line item, posted at 3:30 p.m. was even clearer. H withdrawal, Starlight Jewelers, POS. The exact amount, $12,842. The money had been there for less than 6 hours. 6 hours was all it took for my mother to drain my future and convert it into a point-of-sale transaction at a jewelry store. I could not breathe. My vision tunneled. I gripped the edge of my ergonomic desk, my knuckles white. The urge to pick up the phone, to scream, was a physical thing. A hot bile rising in my throat, but I did not. My training took over, my instinct. When the data does not make sense, you find a new data source. My hand went to my phone, but I did not open the call log. I opened Instagram. Marla Ward's profile was, as always, aggressively cheerful. A sea of filtered selfies, church bake-offs, and gushing posts about my younger brother, Brody. I did not even have to look at her grid. The pink and gold circle around her profile picture was pulsing. A new story. I tapped it. The first image was a short, soundless video. A slow pan over a royal blue, velvet-lined box from Starlight Jewelers. Inside, nestled against the white satin, were 2 rings, identical, each a sizable, offensively bright diamond, flanked by smaller chips. They were not subtle, they were statement pieces. The caption, written in a swirling, celebratory font, burned itself into my retinas. A little tribute for my 2 favorite girls, twinning forever, mom and daughter. Family first blessed. My stomach heaved. I clicked to the next frame, a photo, my mother, Marla, and Brody's fiancée, Kylie, at a restaurant. They were holding champagne flutes, their left hands held up side by side, flashing the 2 identical rings at the camera. Their smiles were huge, manicured, triumphant. The daughter-in-law her caption mentioned, the golden child's new bride, the one my mother adored, the one she constantly compared me to. Kylie is just so easy to love, Riley, she just fits. I fit the bill. I swiped up, a reflex, to see the comments and replies that always flowed in. Absolutely stunning, Marla. You 2 deserve it, wrote a friend from her bridge club. Goals, Brody is a lucky man to have such amazing women in his life, wrote someone else. And then, the one that made my vision spot with white-hot rage, Pastor Glenn. What a beautiful symbol of a strong family bond. Marla, may that love multiply. God bless. A strong family bond, paid for with my $12,842. My heart was a runaway train, pounding against my ribs, screaming call, scream, accuse, burn it all down. Instead, I took a deep, shuddering breath. I turned to my second monitor, and I opened a new Excel spreadsheet. My hands were shaking, but the typing was firm. Column A timestamp, column B event, column C source, column D notes, row 17:02 p.m. Email, refund disbursed, received, source Gmail, note specifies. Parent authorized account, row 2 7:04 p.m. Confirmed deposit to Ward Household Custodial, source bank app, note, posted 10:04 a.m., row 3 7:04 p.m. Confirmed withdrawal from Ward Household Custodial, source bank app, note posted 3:30 p.m., destination Starlight Jewelers, row 4 7:05 p.m. Viewed Marla Ward Instagram story, source Instagram, note. Posted approx. 6:15 p.m. Based on the 45M AGO stamp, 2 identical diamond rings, the timeline was stark. The money arrived in the morning. By mid-afternoon, it was at Starlight. By early evening, it was on Instagram. My mother had not even waited a full day. The audacity was breathtaking. But how the parent authorized account? How did she authorize it? I went back to the LSU student portal, my digital home for 6 years. I clicked through financials, into account settings, into direct deposit. My personal checking account was listed. Active, below it, a new entry, one I had never seen. Parent authorized account, ACH, status. Active, authorized. On September 14th, a year ago, I racked my brain. I was deep in my thesis. What happened on September 14th, I navigated to the portal's document center. I scrolled, student loan agreements, class registrations, and then I saw it. FERPA release of information, status active, signed September 14th. I had not signed a FERPA release, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. The law that says a school cannot release my information, financial or academic, to anyone without my express written consent. I had specifically refused to sign one every year. Much to Marla's fury, I clicked the file. A PDF loaded. It was the standard LSU form, and at the bottom, in the student signature box, was a looping, sloppy, horrifyingly familiar signature. It was my name, but it was my mother's handwriting. She had forged my signature. A year ago, she had played the long game. She had forged a federal document to gain access, positioning herself as an authorized party. Then she had waited for a moment when a significant sum of money would pass through my account, waited for my refund. My breath came out in a single, ragged gasp. This was not an impulse buy. This was not a mistake or a borrowing. This was premeditated. This was fraud. I right-clicked on my desktop. New folder. I typed the name, Refund Rings. I opened my screenshot tool. I captured the Instagram story. RR. Marla story. Kylie. PNG. I captured the comments. RR. Pastor Glenn comment. Piang. I saved the bank app screen. RR. 03as. Custodial statement. PNG. I downloaded the PDF of the email from the bursar. RR. Source. LSU la disbursement email. PF. I downloaded the forged FERPA release. R05. FERPA forgery. P. I dragged them one by one. The neat digital icons snapping into the empty folder. Each file was a bullet. Each click was me loading the magazine. My phone buzzed. A text from Marla. A picture of her and Kylie. A duplicate of the one from her story. The text read, "Aren't they beautiful? So excited to have Kylie officially in the family. Love you." I looked at the message. I looked at the glowing folder on my screen. The old Riley. The one who just wanted peace. The one who would swallow her own anger to avoid a fight. Would have called. She would have cried. She would have asked, "Why the Riley?" I am now. The one who works at North Pier Analytics. Did something else. I silenced my phone. I closed the spreadsheet. I saved the file as case file Marla Ward V1. When I talk to her, I will not be a crying, hysterical daughter. I will be an analyst presenting her findings. When I talk, I will talk with evidence. The Refund Rings folder sat pulsating in the center of my secondary monitor. It was a beacon, a tumor. I minimized it, but I could still feel its presence. My apartment was silent. The only sound was the hum of my workstation's cooling fans and the distant, muffled sound of a siren cutting through the West Loop. I should have been exhausted. Instead, I felt a familiar, cold surge of adrenaline. It was the same feeling I got when I found a discrepancy in a multi-million-dollar ledger. The thrill of finding the one loose thread that would unravel the entire, fraudulent tapestry. This time, the tapestry was my family. My phone was still dark, still silent. Marla's text message. "Aren't they beautiful?" glowed in my mind, an afterimage of casual, smiling theft. I did not text back. I opened my university email. My fingers moved across the keyboard with a speed and precision that had become my trademark. I composed a new message. To Bursar LSU. EDU subject urgent. Unauthorized refund disbursement. Student ID 904B. To the LSU Bursar's office. My name is Riley Ward. I am writing to formally dispute the $12,842 refund disbursement noted in my account today. The email I received at 7:02 p.m. indicated the funds were sent to a parent-authorized account. I never authorized this account, nor have I ever signed a FERPA release granting this level of financial access to a third party. The signature on any such document on my file is a forgery. This is a formal notification of identity theft and financial fraud. I require an immediate trace on the ACH transfer. Furthermore, I require the complete audit log associated with the creation of this parent-authorized account, including the IP address, browser agent, and exact timestamp of the e-signature authorization. I expect a prompt response. Regards. Riley Ward, North Pier Analytics. I hit send. The small whoosh sound of the email disappearing into the void was deeply, unsatisfyingly quiet. And now, I waited. The waiting was the hard part. It was in the silence that the ghosts arrived. The ghosts of every transaction, every justification, every time I had been told that my money was not my own. It started my freshman year. Standing in the bright, sterile lobby of the University Credit Union, I was 18, legally an adult, holding my first major scholarship check. Marla was beside me, her hand firmly on my elbow. "We need to open a joint account," "Riley," she'd said, her smile wide and practiced for the bank teller. "A hybrid account. It just makes it faster. So the scholarship check's clear." Hybrid account. A meaningless, invented term. But I was 18, overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the university, and I just nodded. It was not a joint account. It was the Ward household custodial account. I was the minor. She was the custodian. A legal distinction I would not understand the implications of until much later. She had convinced me it was necessary. That my signature alone was not enough. It was always about access. The flashbacks did not come in order. They came as a rapid-fire assault. Data points of emotional theft. I saw Brody, my younger brother, my mother's undisputed favorite, storming into the house after failing his freshman year calculus midterm. Marla's immediate, frantic phone call to me, not to him, to me. "Riley, this is your fault," she had snapped, her voice stripped of its usual honey. "You're right there on campus. You know he struggles with math. Why aren't you tutoring him? You're just being selfish." I was taking 21 credit hours in a junior-level finance track. Brody was 2 hours away, at a community college, and had failed because he was, by his own admission, rushing a frat. But I was selfish. I was the one who had failed. I was the one who owed him, then, the dorm refund, sophomore year. I had switched rooms, and the university sent a refund check for $350, a tiny amount, but it went to the custodial account, as all school-related money did. "Oh, let me just hold on to that for you, honey," Marla had chirped when I asked about it. "You'll just spend it on silly things, clothes, going out. I'll put it toward the household." I had been eating ramen noodles for a week to save up for a new textbook. Silly things. But the real, seismic shift happened in a lecture hall. Junior year. I was a quantitative finance major. My specialty was risk and asset management. We were covering the Uniform Transfers to Minors Act, UTMA. My professor, a dry, brilliant woman, put the law on the screen. A custodial account is the irrevocable property of the minor. The custodian, the parent, has a fiduciary duty to manage it for the minor's benefit, and crucially, upon the minor reaching the age of majority, either 18 or 21 depending on the state, the custodian's control legally terminates. The account must be turned over. I felt the blood drain from my face. I was 20. I had been legally entitled to that account for 2 years. I went home that weekend. I was nervous, but I was armed with printouts from my textbook. I tried to be gentle. "Mom," I started, spreading the papers on the kitchen table. I was learning in class about custodial accounts. Legally, now that I'm over 18, this account has to be transferred fully into my name. It's just a legal formality. The reaction was not the calm discussion I had hoped for. It was a deluge. The tears were instant. A performance so sudden and total, it defied logic. "How can you," she wailed, clutching her chest. "After everything I've done for you, you're trying to leave the family. You're bringing lawyers into this, Riley. Family is family. That money is our money. It's the family's money." I tried to explain. "No, Mom, it's my scholarship money. It's not the family's." "You are so selfish," she cried, throwing the printouts onto the floor. "Do you hear yourself? You sound cold. You sound like an accountant. Are you counting pennies against your own mother? We are a family." I backed down. I retreated. I let her win, because that was the accusation that cut deepest, that I was cold, that I was unloving, that I cared more about money than people. So I kept quiet. I stayed silent when, 6 months later, Brody, who worked part-time at a car wash, suddenly showed up driving a brand-new, metallic black Ford F-150. A 25-year-old finance student, I knew the monthly payment on a $60,000 truck. It was more than my rent. The license plate was the final, gleaming insult, a custom plate. PR1DE, Ward Pride, I knew, with a certainty that settled in my bones, that my frivolous $350 dorm refund and countless other small diverted scholarships and tax returns were paying for the chrome on his grill. I had remained silent because I was terrified of being the girl who counts pennies. My laptop chimed, jarring me back to the present. 7:48 p.m., an email from the bursar's office. Dear Miss Ward, thank you for your inquiry. Our records are clear. The disbursement was made according to the active authorization on your student file, which includes a valid e-signature. Lakeshore State University policy is to transfer funds only to accounts with a valid authorization, and we have one on file. As this transaction was processed correctly according to our procedures, we consider this matter closed. Sincerely, Susan G., LSU Bursar's Office. Closed, my blood, which had been frozen, began to boil. This was the institutional brush-off, the not our problem defense. They had a signature, so their liability was over. I did not pause. I did not second-guess. I replied, Susan, this matter is not closed. I am reiterating that the e-signature on file is fraudulent. Your office is currently facilitating a felony. I am formally requesting an export of the full audit log for my student profile, specifically relating to the authorization event for the parent authorized account. I need the IP address that logged the signature, the browser user agent, and the precise timestamp. This is not a customer service inquiry. This is a formal component of an identity theft investigation. If you are not the correct person to handle this, please escalate my request to your IT security and legal departments immediately. I will expect this information within 1 business day. Riley Ward. I attached my North Pier Analytics email signature, a small, petty, necessary flex. The reply, this time, was almost immediate. The tone had shifted from bureaucratic dismissal to cautious compliance. Ms. Ward, we understand the seriousness of your allegation. A request for these specific logs must be escalated to our central IT security team. Please allow 72 business hours for our team to retrieve and verify the requested audit data. We will be in touch as soon as we have an update. Sincerely, Susan G. 72 hours, 3 days. I saved the email chain. RR. Bursar Comms, PDF. I dragged it into the folder. I picked up my phone. Still dark. No more messages from Marla. No calls from Brody. They were out, celebrating, wearing my money. I opened the new, black, leather-bound notebook I used for my highest-level cases. I turned to the first blank page. At the top, I wrote the date. Below it, I wrote 2 words. My new creed. The only 2 words that mattered now. Don't argue. Collect. 72 hours. 3 days. An eternity in an investigation. A lifetime in a family dispute. I sat in the sterile quiet of my apartment, the city lights of Chicago beginning to blur into indifferent neon streaks, the bursar's office, LSU. They would move at the speed of bureaucracy. They were protecting the institution. I was protecting my future. I would not be idle. The university was one vector. The bank was another. The third, and most immediate, was the merchant, Starlight Jewelers. I returned to the Ward household custodial account, my prison, and now, my primary source of evidence. I clicked the withdrawal, $12,842. The transaction details expanded, the digital equivalent of turning over a rock. Merchant Starlight Jewelers, Inc., location Cedar Dunes, 45B, Riverside Plaza Terminal. POS 774, Point of Sale Terminal, number 774. It was not just a jewelry store, it was a specific register, the exact place where my mother had physically converted my education into 2 pieces of compressed carbon. I saved the screenshot. RR07. Post/data, PNG. I looked up the number for the Cedar Dunes location. I took a steadying breath, not of anxiety, but of preparation. I muted the part of me that was the daughter the betrayed, furious, screaming part, and activated the analyst. My voice, when I spoke, would be calm, slightly bored, and efficient, the voice of a personal assistant, not a victim. The phone rang 3 times. A young, overly eager male voice answered. Starlight Jewelers. where your forever begins. This is Chad. How can I help you, Sparkle? I wanted to hang up. I wanted to throw the phone. Instead, I pitched my voice a half octave lower. Hi, Chad, I said, the manufactured boredom rolling off my tongue. I'm calling from my employer, Marla Ward. She made a significant purchase today, and I'm handling the reconciliation for her financial manager. I just need to verify the details for her file. Oh, Mrs. Ward, Chad exclaimed, the recognition immediate. Yes, of course she was just in. Oh, she was so happy. It was just the sweetest. I'm sure, I said, my voice flat. I have the total, $12,842, but I'm missing the itemized breakdown. My system needs it. No problem, he chirped. Let me just pull up that transaction from Terminal 774. Ah, here it is. That was for our Mom Bride Duo discount package. It's one of our most popular sets. My grip on the phone tightened. Mom Bride Duo discount. They had a package. This was not a spontaneous gift. It was a premeditated, marketed set. Can you confirm the item specifics? I asked. You bet those are two of our 1.2 carat forever settings. Princess cut, G-color, absolutely stunning. We had one in a size 7, and one we custom-sized down to a size 6 for the fiancé. Such a wonderful family. A size 7, Marla, a size 6, Kylie. The data points clicked into place. A perfect, sickening fit. They were not twinning. They were co-conspirators. Wonderful, I said, the word tasting like ash. I'll need a copy of the itemized receipt for my records. The redline gift receipt won't do. Can you email that to me? Oh, Chad's voice faltered. I can't actually email a receipt for a purchase that large to a third party. Store policy. Mrs. Ward would have to come in and show her ID. I see. I did not push. I had what I needed. Just one last thing for the log. Can you give me the exact time of the transaction? Sure thing. The register timestamp is 3:20 p.m. on the dot. 3:20 p.m. 10 minutes before the transaction posted to the custodial account, the purchase was made, and the bank transfer cleared 10 minutes later. Thank you, Chad. You've been very helpful. Anytime. Tell Mrs. Ward congratulations again. I hung up. I did not move for a full minute. I added the notes to my spreadsheet. Starlight Jewelers, Atten Chad, purchase 3:20 p.m., 2 1.2 seat rings, size 6, 7. Mom Bride Duo discount. I now had the what. I had the when. I had the where. I still needed the how. How had Marla, who struggled to open a PDF, managed to forge a federal document and authorize an ACH transfer? My mind went back to the forged FERPA. September 14th, a year ago, she had been playing a long game. She had to have gained access to my student portal. I opened my personal email archive. I searched for Marla Ward and subject password. The results flooded in. Dozens of emails over 6 years. Riley, I need your grades for the insurance. Honey, just send me your password. It's easier. Riley, I'm trying to pay the housing deposit and it says I need your login. Just give it to me. I scrolled past them. A timeline of my resistance, my attempts to build financial walls, and then I saw it. An email. Not from her usual address, but from one I had forgotten. One she had made in the early 2000s. From Marla Ward, keeper of the keyshotmail.com. Date, September 12th, 2023. Subject urgent. LSU portal. My blood ran cold. The email address. Keeper of the keys. The email was short. Riley, I am trying to access your portal. The password you gave me is not working. I need to get in to sign the parent loan agreement. I had never had a parent loan agreement, and I had certainly never given her a password. I had replied. I remembered now. Mom, do not try to log in as me. It's illegal. I'm handling all the finances. There is no parent loan. Her reply. I'm just trying to help. You always make this so difficult. But this was not the how. This was the intent. The how was still missing. If I had not given her the password, how did she get in to sign the FRPA on September 14th? I navigated back to the LSU portal. I did not go to financials. I went to my account, security settings, and there it was. Buried in a submenu, View Recent Login Activity. I clicked it, a table loaded, a list of IP addresses, dates, and access types, my current session, my apartment's IP, 7:55 p.m., my phone's IP, earlier today, the university library Wi-Fi, last week, and then, one entry, from a year ago, stood out like a siren. Date September 14th, 2023. Time, 10:32. AM, IP address, 192.155.45.1. Activity Student Portal, Login, Document e-signature, September 14th, 10:32 a.m., the day she forged the FUR PA. I copied the IP address. I opened a new tab and pasted it into a global IP lookup tool. My fingers drummed on the desk as the page loaded. The result flashed on the screen. IP. Location: Cedar Dunes, USA Service Provider. Cedar Dunes Country Club Network. Type Public Guest Wi-Fi. Cedar Dunes Country Club. Her Tuesday bridge game. I could see it. I could see her. Sitting at a wrought iron table by the pool. Sipping a Diet Coke with lime. Holding her cards in one hand, and my future in the other. She must have used the forgot password function. The system would have sent a reset link to her email, the one on file as my parent contact. From there, it was simple. She had logged in as me. She had navigated to the financial forms. She had found the FUR PA release, and she had scribbled my name, giving herself the keys to my kingdom, all before her game of duplicate bridge. This was not a crime of passion. It was a crime of convenience. My investigation was almost complete. I had the digital trail. Now I needed the physical one. I pulled up the app on my phone that connected to the smart doorbell at my mother's house. I had installed it 2 years ago after Brody forgot to lock the front door for an entire weekend. I told her it was for her safety. The truth, I admitted to myself, was that it was for my own peace of mind. Another data stream. I opened the event history. I scrolled back to this afternoon, 4:59 p.m. Person detected, 5:03 p.m. Package detected. I tapped the clip. The high-definition video filled my screen. A FedEx driver walked up the path, holding not a standard brown box, but a royal blue, glossy shipping box with Starlight Jewelers printed on the side in elegant silver script. He placed it on the doormat, scanned it, and walked away. The timestamp clicked to 5:04 p.m. The front door, the one I had painted a welcoming shade of yellow, was flung open. Marla, she was wearing her tennis outfit. She did not bend over. She snatched the box. Her movements quick and furtive. She glanced left, right, and then retreated back into the house, the door clicking shut. I exported the clip. RR. Starlight Delivery. Confirmation, MP4. I saved it. I dragged it to the folder. I looked at my desktop. The folder Refund Rings was no longer just a collection of grievances. It was a case file. I did what I do for my clients. I opened a new PowerPoint deck. I chose the cleanest, most sterile template. Black text on a white background. I created a flowchart, a series of simple, damning boxes. LSU Bursar's Office 10:04 a.m. Ward Custodial Account, 12 of. $842. Starlight Jewelers. POS 774, 3:20 p.m. FedEx Delivery, 5:03 p.m. and gifts. Twinning, Rings Possession. I added a parallel box for the data I had captured. Marla Ward. Instagram Story, 5:46 p.m. I did the math. She had the rings in her hand at 5:03 p.m. She posted the picture at 5:46 p.m. 43 minutes. It took her 43 minutes to unbox, try on, photograph, and caption her crime. I stared at the slide. My work complete. This was the evidence, the clear, cold, unassailable timeline. I created a title slide. I typed a title, then deleted it. Too emotional. I typed another. I finally settled on one that felt right. Family news versus family cash flow. A forensic analysis. I saved the presentation. Case file Marla Ward, B2 bot PTX. My phone buzzed. A new text from Marla. Did you see my picture? You haven't said anything. Are you okay? I looked at the text. I looked at the PowerPoint. I was more than okay. I was ready. I did not respond to her text, answering her query. Are you okay? Would be a tactical error. It would open a door to an emotional conversation, a space where facts are irrelevant and feelings are weapons. My mother is a master of that terrain. I operate on data. I waited 1 hour. I let her text sit there, unread, unanswered. I let her wonder. I let her move from excited to confused and, I hoped, to nervous. At 8:10 p.m., I sent a new text, not a reply, but an initiation. I need to have a video call with you and Brody, now. Regarding the $12,842 refund, please send me a link. The response was instant, a panicked flurry of texts. Why Brody? I can explain. Don't be dramatic. Riley, let's just talk on the phone. My reply was unchanging. A video call, now. 3 minutes later, a Zoom link appeared. I clicked it. My desktop was prepared. The refund rings folder was on my second monitor. My case file PowerPoint was open. On my main screen, the Zoom window loaded, and beneath it, my audio and screen recording software was active. I clicked record. I spoke, my voice low and clear for the microphone. This is Riley Ward. The time is 8:14 p.m. I am recording this call for my records. The state of Illinois is a single-party consent jurisdiction. I clicked join meeting. Their faces swam into view. They were in the family room. The overstuffed beige sofa, a familiar backdrop. Marla was in the center, her hair perfectly coiffed. The new diamond ring glittered, obscenely large, as she nervously touched her throat. Brody was next to her, his arms crossed, a defiant, petulant scowl on his face. He looked like a teenager. Riley, Marla began, her voice a strained, brittle version of her usual cheer. This is very dramatic. What is this all about? I did not waste time. This is about the $12,842 tuition refund from Lakeshore State University, which was deposited into the custodial account at 10:04 this morning. Marla's smile tightened. A painful rictus. Oh, that, Riley, honey, I was going to call you. I'm just holding it for you, for safekeeping. You know how you are. You spend things so quickly. I am holding it for safekeeping was the lie. You spend things was the character assassination to justify it. I see, I said, my voice perfectly level. So you were holding it. Then why does the bank statement show a corresponding withdrawal at 3:30 p.m. for the exact same amount? Marla's face went blank. The practiced confusion of a cornered narcissist. What are you talking about? Why? I continued. Did safekeeping become two identical 1.2-carat diamond rings from Starlight Jewelers? The silence that followed was absolute. It was beautiful. I watched my mother's brain process the failure of her narrative. I had the specifics. She had not anticipated that. Brody, beside her, looked confused. What, Mom? What is she talking about? Marla waved a hand at him, dismissing him. Her eyes were locked on me, and the practiced warmth was gone. In its place was a cold, hard fury I knew all too well. I cannot believe you, she whispered. The performance beginning. The tears were welling. You are accusing me. Your own mother. It was a family purchase. It was my financial aid, I stated. Kylie is the future of this family, Marla suddenly shouted, the tears turning to rage. Brody is getting married. This is what families do. Riley, we support each other. Those rings are a symbol. They are a bond, connecting me to my new daughter, connecting us all as one. So you bought a bond, I said. With my money. You always do this. Brody exploded, leaning into the camera. His face was red. You always make everything about you. About your stupid money. It's just money. Riley. Who cares? You've always been like this, counting every single penny. You care more about money than you do about your own family. I care about the forged FERPA release, I said. The words hit the air and hung there. Brody's mouth snapped shut. Marla, in the middle of a theatrical sob, froze. I care about the login to my student portal from the Cedar Dunes Country Club IP address on September 14th, I continued. I care about the fact that you, Marla, committed federal-level identity theft to gain access to my finances. And I care that you, Brody, are sitting there next to her, wearing the results. Brody looked at his mother. Mom, what is she talking about, forged? Marla's face had gone from red to a pale, mottled gray. She had been caught, not just in the lie, but in the mechanics of the lie. I looked straight into the camera. I was done. This is not a debate. This is a notification. That money, the $12,842, is my property. It was a refund for tuition, issued in my name. It is not family money. It is mine. I held their gaze. You have 3 days to return the funds in full. You can wire it to my personal checking account. I'll text you the details. 3 days. If the money is not in my account by 5 p.m. on Friday, I escalate. Marla's jaw dropped. Escalate? Escalate to who? What are you going to do, Riley? Are you threatening me? I am informing you of a timeline, I said. You wouldn't, Marla spat, her voice turning venomous. You wouldn't dare. Think of what this would do. You would sue your own mother over a gift. What will Pastor Glenn think? What will the entire church think when they find out they will be horrified by you? This was her trump card. Public shame. The judgment of the community she had so carefully curated. I almost smiled. The church loves a true story. Mom, I said, my voice soft. And I'm sure they'd be fascinated by the timeline. But the court will be even more interested. The court loves data, and I have it all. I have the IP logs. I have the bank statements. I have the name of the sales associate at Starlight, Chad. I have the POS terminal number. I have the forged e-signature. I have a PowerPoint presentation, if you'd like to see it. I watched the color drain from her face. She knew I was not bluffing. An analyst does not bluff. An analyst presents. 3 days, I repeated. I will be sending an email to you both summarizing this call to create a textual record. You, she started. You are a cold, cold girl. I am an analyst, I said. And this call is over. I clicked end meeting. The screen went black. My hands were shaking. Not from fear or sadness. It was the vibrating hum of pure, unadulterated adrenaline. I stopped the recording. I saved the file. RR009, Video Confrontation, MP4. I dragged it into the folder. Then, I opened my email. To Marla Ward. Brody Ward. Subject summary of our 8:15 p.m. call refund request. Marla and Brody. This email is to confirm the terms discussed in our video call. As stated, I am formally requesting the full and immediate return of my $12,842 tuition refund from Lakeshore State University. This refund was diverted from my student account without my authorization via a forged FERPA release and spent at Starlight Jewelers. Per our call, you have 3 business days to return the funds in full to my personal checking account. If the entire sum is not received by 5:00 p.m. CST this Friday, I will escalate the matter legally and with the university. Please find my wiring information below. Riley. I hit send, a new document for the file. RR010, email, ultimatum, PDF. My phone immediately lit up. Marla. Calling. I declined it. A text appeared. You pick up this phone right now. I muted the thread. I leaned back in my chair. The confrontation was done. The next phase had begun. I opened a new browser tab. I typed, Ansel Rudd, attorney, Chicago. I had seen him speak at a university fintech panel 2 years ago. His specialty university financial fraud and student identity theft. His firm's website was clean, professional, and had a new client intake form. I filled it out. Name Riley Ward case. Type financial fraud. Identity theft. Conversion, brief description, my mother, Marla Ward, forged my e-signature on a FRPA release to gain access to my LSU student portal. She subsequently diverted a $12,842 tuition refund to a custodial account and immediately spent the entire sum on non-essential luxury goods jewelry for herself and my brother's fiancé. I have a complete data trail, including IP logs, bank statements, screenshots, and a video recording of the delivery. I have given the parties 3 days to return the funds. I need to hire you to send a formal demand letter and, if necessary, file a civil suit for conversion and fraud. I clicked submit. I did not post on Instagram. I did not text my friends. I did not write a bitter post on Facebook. I just saved my case file. I closed my laptop. And for the first time in my life, I felt the sharp, clean, undeniable relief of a boundary perfectly drawn. Ansel Rudd's office was not the dark, mahogany and leather cave I had expected. It was a clean, minimalist space of glass, white marble, and brushed steel, high in a tower overlooking the river. It was an analyst's office. It was a place for numbers, not emotions. His call had come at 9:01 a.m., the morning after I had sent the intake form, less than 12 hours. His voice on the phone was exactly as I remembered from the fintech panel, quick, precise, and devoid of false sympathy. He did not ask how I was holding up. He asked if I could be at his office in an hour with my data. I was there in 45 minutes. I sat across from him at a wide glass desk. I had brought my laptop, my refund rings folder already open. He was thin, sharp, and wore an impeccably tailored suit. He listened for exactly 5 minutes, his eyes never leaving mine, his hands steepled. I did not narrate. I presented. I gave him the timeline, the IP address, the POS terminal number, and the forged FRPA. When I finished, he was silent for a moment. He looked at my screen, at the PowerPoint flowchart I had made. Ms. Ward, he said, his voice cutting through the quiet. This is the most complete, organized, and self-contained case of civil conversion I have seen a layperson assemble, ever. Your refund rings folder is, frankly, it's beautiful. Does that mean I have a case? A case. He almost smiled. It was not a warm expression. It was the smile of a surgeon who knows exactly where to cut. Ms. Ward, you do not have a case. You have a kill shot. The question is not if we win. The question is how we want to win and how much it's going to cost them. He stood and walked to a massive whiteboard, the only non-digital surface in the room. As I see it, he said, picking up a black marker, we have a 3-pronged attack. This is a multi-front war. You don't just sue, you surround them. He drew 3 boxes. Vector 1, the perpetrators, Marla and Brody. This is the simplest. It's called conversion. It's the civil law equivalent of theft. Your mother took your specific, identifiable property, the $12,842 refund, and converted it for her own use. It is yours. She took it. She has to give it back. Simple. He drew a second box. Vector 2. The institution, Lakeshore State University, the bursar's office failed. They accepted a fraudulent e-signature. They acted on a forged FERPA, a federal document. They released your funds to an unauthorized party. They are currently liable. We will leverage their liability to make them our allies. They do not want a lawsuit about their lax security. He drew a third box. Vector 3, the merchant, Starlight Jewelers. They accepted a $12,000 transaction from an account that was not in the purchaser's name. They sold a mom-bride duo discount package, he said this with visible distaste, and facilitated the liquidation of a stolen asset. They are now in possession of disputed funds. He turned back to me. We will act on all 3 fronts. Immediately, He returned to his desk and tapped his keyboard. My paralegal is, as we speak, drafting the formal demand letter. It is much, much scarier than your email. It will be sent via certified mail to both Marla Ward and Brody Ward. Return receipt requested. This is not a 3-day emotional ultimatum. This is a 10-day legal one. What does it demand? It demands the full immediate return of the $12,842. It also demands they cover my initial retainer fee. It informs them that if the full amount is not wired to our trust account within 10 business days, we will file a civil complaint in Riverton County for conversion, identity theft, and unjust enrichment. It will be very, very clear. He was already on to the next task. Simultaneously, a second letter is going to the General Counsel of LSU, not the bursar. We are finished with Susan. This letter informs them of the pending litigation, provides a copy of the fraudulent FERPA, and demands the full, unredacted audit log, the IP addresses, and all internal notes associated with your account. We will also formally request they initiate an ACH reversal on their end, citing fraud. And Starlight, Ansel said, is the fun part. We are preparing a subpoena ducis tecum to be filed the moment the complaint is, we want everything, the itemized sales receipt, the credit card slip, a high-resolution copy of the security footage from Terminal 774 at 3:20 p.m., a full descriptive affidavit for the mom-bride duo discount package. We will know the clarity and color of the diamonds your mother stole. He paused, then looked at me. Now, your homework. This is critical. While I am handling the offense, you must handle the defense. He held up a finger. First, you are to leave this office, go to a new bank, one your family has no connection with, and you will open a new, solo checking account. The Ward household custodial account is compromised. It is a crime scene. You will no longer touch it. Already done, I said. This morning, before I came here. Ansel's other eyebrow raised, joining the first. Good. Second, your digital security. You are going to change every password you have, starting with the LSU portal. I want a 32-character, randomized string. You will enable two-factor authentication, not text message, an authenticator app. We cut off all access. We burn the bridges. She is no longer the keeper of the keys. Done, I said. In the car on the way here. For the first time, Ansel Rudd looked genuinely impressed. You are my favorite kind of client, Ms. Ward. He leaned back. Third, this is advice, not an order. I strongly suggest you consider taking a leave of absence from your master's program, just for a semester. This will get very messy. A family lawsuit. It is scorched earth. It takes an emotional toll. My response was immediate. No. He tilted his head. No. Absolutely not. She took my tuition money. I am not, under any circumstances, letting her take my graduation date. I will go to class. I will work on my thesis, and I will handle this. I am good at multitasking. Very well, he said. I believe you. Which brings me to my final point. The public, your mother, according to your intake form, threatened you with public shame. Pastor Glenn, the church, this is her weapon. Our weapon is the data. He leaned forward. So you will stay silent. You will not post on Facebook. You will not create a GoFundMe. You will not air this out to your friends. You are an analyst. You will remain sterile. We do not fight on her battlefield. We fight in court. We only use the public file, the screenshots, the timeline as a defensive countermeasure if she goes public first. Do you understand? I don't argue, I said. I collect. Precisely. He slid a thick, multi-page document across the glass desk. Now, the options. 90% of these cases never see a courtroom. We send the demand letters. They get them. They panic. They hire a local lawyer who, after 5 minutes of research, tells them they are completely exposed. They will want to settle. Settle how? We propose a private settlement agreement. It has 2 conditions. 1, they pay you back every cent, the full $12,842, plus all my fees. To Marla and Brody sign a written, notarized admission, a statement of facts, that they took the money, that it was yours, that it was unauthorized. That document is your insurance policy. It's the end of the story. It's a quiet, clean win. And if they refuse, then we file, Ansel said, his voice hard. We file the complaint in Riverton County. It becomes a public record. It means their names are attached to fraud and conversion in a searchable database. It means we go to a mandatory mediation session where I will bring your PowerPoint and present it to a very bored, very practical mediator who will then tell your mother and brother exactly how much this is going to cost them in a public trial. He tapped the document in front of me. This is my retainer. This is your authorization for me to act as your legal counsel. Read it, understand it. If you sign it, we begin. I read every line. I understood every clause. The fee structure was clear. The scope of work was defined. It was the most beautiful document I had ever read. I picked up the heavy silver pen he offered. My signature, the real one, was sharp, angular, and decisive. I pushed the paper back across the desk. We're active, he said, taking the document. My team will begin immediately. You will be copied on all correspondence. I stood up. I nodded. I did not say thank you. This was not a favor. It was a transaction. I walked out of the glass and steel office and into the bright, cold Chicago air. I felt the vibration of my phone in my pocket. A barrage of texts. One from Marla. You are tearing this family apart. One from Brody. You're dead to me. I ignored them. I walked toward the L train. I felt something I had not felt in years. I had spent my entire life hunched over, making myself smaller, absorbing the emotional blows, trying to keep the peace. Now, as I walked, I felt my posture change. It felt as if a new, solid steel rod had been bolted into my back. My spine was straight. The 10-day deadline on Ansel's demand letter was a ticking clock. It was a fuse, burning slowly in the background of my life. I went to class. I worked on my thesis. I tracked server logs for North Pier, and I waited. On day 6, an invitation arrived in my email, not from Marla, but from Kylie's maid of honor, a digital, floral-themed Evite covered in animated, sparkling rings. You're invited to Kylie's bridal shower. Join us as we celebrate the bride-to-be, hosted by Marla Ward at Juniper Hall. Theme 2 rings, 1 family. My blood ran cold. The audacity. The sheer, unmitigated gall. She was not just keeping the rings. She was building a party, a public celebration, a theme around them. She was laundering her crime through a social event, turning the evidence into a centerpiece. Ansel had been clear. Do not fight on her battlefield. Stay sterile. But this was not her battlefield. This was a public forum. She was using my money to host a party about the very items she had bought with my money. She was, in legal terms, flaunting the converted assets. I emailed Ansel. Marla is hosting a bridal shower themed 2 rings, 1 family. She is making the rings the public focus. Does this change the stay silent protocol? His reply came in under 5 minutes. She is creating a public narrative. You have a right to be present. Do not engage. Do not argue, but be present. Your simple, silent presence is, in itself, a form of discovery. Go, observe, report. I interpreted his advice. He was a lawyer. I was an analyst. I would go. I would observe. And I would do more. I would present. I printed a clean, fresh copy of every document in my Refund Rings folder. The bank statement showing the $12,000 transfer, the Starlight POS transaction data, the forged FUR PA, the IP log from the country club, the email from Susan at the bursar's office. I did not print the PowerPoint. That was for court. This was for the court of public opinion. I placed the stack of papers, around 15 pages, into a crisp, clean manila envelope. On Saturday afternoon, I walked into Juniper Hall. The room was a sea of pastel pink and champagne gold. A banner, in the same swirling font as Marla's Instagram post, was strung between 2 pillars. Welcome 2 rings, 1 family, every napkin, every place card, Every tiny sugar cookie was embossed with two interlocking circles, and in the corner, on a pedestal, was the cake. A three-tiered monstrosity of white frosting and pink roses, and on top, atop, two massive, glittering, edible replicas of the starlight rings. The room was filled with women from Marla's social circle, from the church, and Kylie's college friends. They were all sipping mimosas, their laughter high and bright. I was not dressed for the party. They were in floral dresses. I was in a black and high-necked sheath dress, and my sharpest black heels. Analyst mode. I had no gift. I had only the manila envelope, which I held in my left hand. My arrival did not go unnoticed. The laughter in the room faltered, then stopped. It was as if I had walked in covered in mud. Marla was by the cake. When she saw me, her face, which had been a mask of celebratory joy, went rigid. The smile stayed. But it was a terrifying, frozen grimace. She marched toward me, her own size 7 ring flashing. "Riley," she hissed, grabbing my arm. "What are you doing here? You were not expected." "I was invited," I said calmly, pulling my arm from her grasp. "I'm on the Evite list. You cannot be here. You are not welcome after." She glanced around, aware of the eyes on us. "You are making a scene." "I have not said a word," I replied. "I'm just here to celebrate Kylie, and the theme." Before she could respond, Kylie herself, wearing a white dress and a bride-to-be sash, ran over. She had not yet been poisoned. She was still, at her core, a nice, simple person. "Riley, you came. I'm so glad. I know things have been weird." She hugged me, a quick, awkward embrace, and I felt it. The size 6 ring, cold, hard, and pressing against my shoulder. "Congratulations, Kylie," I said, stepping back. The party resumed, but the atmosphere had changed. I was a bomb in the center of the room. I took a glass of water from a server. I did not mingle. I stood by a pillar, watching. My manila envelope held loosely at my side. After an hour of awkward games, Marla stood up by the gift table, tapping a champagne flute with a manicured nail. The room went quiet. This was her moment. "Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming to celebrate our wonderful Kylie," she gushed. She walked over and pulled Kylie to her side. "As many of you know," Marla continued, her voice thick with manufactured emotion, "family is the most important thing to the Wards, and when Brody brought Kylie into our lives, it was a blessing. I knew I wanted to do something special to welcome her, to officially make her one of us." She held up her left hand, wiggling her ring. "Kylie, honey, show them." Kylie, blushing, held up her own hand. The two rings, from across the room, looked identical. "I decided to start a new Ward family tradition," Marla announced, to a smattering of awes from the crowd. "A mother-daughter ring, a symbol that we are connected, that we are a team. 2 rings, 1 family." She raised her glass, to Kylie, and to family traditions. The room applauded. Brody, who had been lurking near the door, clapped loudest, his eyes fixed on his mother in adoration. Kylie looked down at her hand, a genuine, happy tear in her eye. This was the moment. As the applause died down, I raised my hand, not high, just to my shoulder. "That's a beautiful story, Mom," I said, my voice cutting cleanly across the room. Marla's face went white. Brody's applause stopped. "Before we move on to gifts," I said, "I wonder if I might have 5 minutes. I don't have a gift, per se, but I'd love to offer Kylie, and all the new brides here, a quick lesson in newlywed financial planning. A little case study, if you will." The room was utterly silent. No one knew what to do. How could they refuse? I was offering professional advice. "Riley, this is not the time," Marla said, her voice dangerously low. "It will only take 5 minutes," I said, smiling at the crowd. As an analyst, I find practical lessons are the best gifts. I did not wait for an answer. I stepped into the center of the room, I did not have slides. I did not need them. I still held my manila envelope. "This is a case study," I began, my voice calm and conversational. "About a graduate student I know. This student had just completed her degree and was expecting a tuition refund, a significant one, $12,842. I saw Brody flinch at the number. He knew. "This student," I continued, "was very excited. This money was her nest egg, her security deposit, her future. But a problem occurred. The university, LSU, that's Lakeshore State, sent her money not to her account, but to an old parental authorized account, an account she never authorized." I could see Pastor Glenn's wife, in the front row, lean forward, her brow furrowed. "Now, how did this happen?" "Well, it turns out, her parent had, 1 year prior, logged into her student portal from a public Wi-Fi network, say, from a place like the Cedar Dunes Country Club, and forged her e-signature on a federal FERPA document. This gave the parent total access to her financial aid." The color was draining from Marla's face. She was frozen by the gift table, a rictus of a smile still plastered on. "So, the $12,842 lands in this parent's account at 10:04 in the morning. This student, the daughter, is at work. She knows nothing. But the parent. The parent is busy. By 3:20 in the afternoon, that entire sum has been withdrawn, a single point-of-sale transaction. Kylie was no longer looking at me. She was staring at her own hand, her left hand. She was looking at the ring. "And what?" I asked the silent room. "Was this emergency purchase, this immediate need?" "Well, it turns out, it was 2 identical 1.2-carat diamond rings from a place called Starlight Jewelers. They even had a special mom-bride duo discount package." A collective gasp, small and sharp, came from the front table. "The parent," I said, "then hosted a party, a big, beautiful party, to celebrate the rings, to build a new family tradition on top of a foundation of fraud, to show them off to all her friends as a symbol of family." I let the silence hang for a beat. I looked from my mother's terrified face, to Brody's pale and shaking one, to Kylie, who was now slowly, with visible tremor, trying to pull the ring off her finger. I smiled. A small, tight, analytical smile. "So, the lesson for the bride. The financial advice. It's simple. Always use 2-factor authentication. Always have your own bank account. And never, ever, let anyone convince you that true family requires access to someone else's bank account." I walked to the gift table. I placed the manila envelope on top of a set of hand towels. "Congratulations, Kylie," I said, my voice clear. "I've left a copy of the case file, if anyone wants to check the numbers." I turned and walked out of the hall. I did not run. I walked, my heels clicking a steady, rhythmic beat on the polished floor. I did not look back. I could hear, just as the door was closing, Marla's voice finally breaking. "How dare you!" I was in my car before my phone began to vibrate. It did not stop. The first few texts were from numbers I did not recognize guests. That was the bravest thing I have ever seen. My mother-in-law tried the same thing with our house down payment. Stay strong. We understand. Then, the main event, a novel-length text message from Marla. It was a masterpiece of narcissistic rage, all caps, full of accusations of slander, lies, public humiliation, and a disgusting smear campaign. She accused me of ruining Kylie's day, of destroying the family, of being a cold, heartless, money-grubbing snake. I read it all. I took a deep, clean breath. I screenshotted the entire tirade. I saved it. RR0111, Marla Smear Campaign Text, PDF. I dragged it into the folder. The bridal shower was the grenade. My speech was the pin. The explosion came 2 days later. It arrived not as a text message, but as a formal, forwarded PDF from Ansel. The subject line, FW response from Counsel for M. Ward. My mother had lawyered up. I opened the document. It was on the letterhead of a local, small-time lawyer in Cedar Dunes, the kind of guy who handles wills, divorces, and DUIs. The letter was a masterpiece of legalistic fantasy. To Mr. Rudd, it began, "We are in receipt of your baseless and harassing demand letter. Your client's allegations are not only unfounded but deeply libelous. The funds in question, $12,842, were not converted. They were, in fact, a voluntary gift." My hands clenched. Voluntary gift. Furthermore, the letter continued, "The purchase of commemorative jewelry is a long-standing family tradition within the Ward household, intended to celebrate familial bonds. Your client was not only aware of this tradition, but participated in the celebration of it. Her presence at the bridal shower constitutes clear, implicit consent and ratification of the gift. Her subsequent actions are nothing more than a childish, retaliatory attempt to slander our client, Ms. Marla Ward. After a personal disagreement," I almost laughed. I would have, if I were not so furious. He was trying to rebrand theft as tradition, and then, the final page. Exhibit A, it was a photograph, a high-resolution, cropped image. It was me, at Juniper Hall, holding my glass of water. They had caught a split-second moment where I was looking at Kylie, a fleeting, polite smile on my face before I had begun my speech. The manila envelope was conveniently cropped out. My face, isolated from the context of the room, looked pleased. It looked consensual. I immediately forwarded the email to Ansel with one word, Ansel. My phone rang less than 60 seconds later. It was not a Zoom call. It was his direct line. "Riley," he said. His voice was not worried. It was amused. "I have it. It's creative. He's calling it a gift. Ansel, he's using a picture of me smiling. He's calling it a gift because he has no other legal theory," Ansel said, a dry chuckle in his voice. "He's a drowning man grabbing a very small, very stupid straw, Riley, for a gift to be legally valid. There must be two things: donative intent, the giver intends to give it, and delivery. The giver here was LSU. The recipient was you. The money was a tuition refund, not a Christmas bonus. It was legally, identifiably, and unequivocally your property before your mother ever touched it. And the picture is worthless," he snapped. "It's a cropped social photo. It proves you were in a room. It does not prove you consented to a $12,000 wire fraud. This entire letter is an emotional appeal, not a legal defense. It's written for Marla, not for me. It's designed to make her feel justified. It's also a fantastic new piece of evidence for us, showing they have no intention of returning the funds. We'll add it to the file." He took a breath. "Now, for the good news. While they've been busy writing fiction, I've been getting facts. All our vectors are reporting back." My pulse quickened. "Go on." "Vector 1 LSU. The 72 hours are up. The General Counsel's office sent over the full, unredacted audit log. It's exactly what you suspected, but better. Better. The e-signature for the parent-authorized account on September 14th was logged from IP address 192.1. That's the Cedar Dunes Country Club. The audit log also shows the initiating email for the forgot password request that allowed the login. That email address, the one she used to gain access keeper of the key shopmail.com. The name hit me like a physical blow. Keeper of the keys. Precisely, Ansel said. It's so perfect. A jury would eat it with a spoon. The bursar's office, now that their legal team is involved, is in full panic mode. They sent a separate, private confirmation. I'll forward it. They've acknowledged the high probability of fraud. They've locked your account from all external access. And this is the key: they've stated in writing that if you provide a notarized affidavit stating the authorization was fraudulent, the university will pursue all available remedies, including ACH reversal assistance. They're on our side now. They have to be... Vector 1 was secured. My anger was replaced by a cold, clear focus. Vector 2, Starlight. Starlight, Ansel said. was even more cooperative. They did not want to be associated with a fraud investigation. Our subpoena was a formality. They FedExed the entire package this morning. I'm looking at it now. And it's a goldmine. We have the full, itemized receipt. It explicitly lists the mom-bride duo discount. We have the signature slip from the POS terminal, Marla Ward, signed. We have a high-resolution printout from the security camera over Terminal 774. It's a perfect, clear shot of your mother, smiling, handing her card to Chad, the sales associate. Her new ring is already on her finger. He paused. And one more thing. She paid for an extra service. Engraving. The receipt confirms it. Both rings are now inscribed on the inner band. What does it say? I whispered. MK forever. Forever. A permanent record of her crime, etched into the metal. So, Riley, Ansel concluded, their counterattack is a joke, their lawyer is a joke, and we have just received the digital, financial, and photographic proof we need to dismantle them. I'm filing the motion for a mediation date. This is no longer a what if, it's a when. We hung up. I saved the files Ansel forwarded me. RR022, LSU audit log, PDF, R033, LSU fraud, confirmation, Point EML, R044, Starlight/receipt engraving, PDF, R05, Starlight, security photo, JPG. My case file was no longer a folder, it was an arsenal. The rest of the day, the fallout from the shower continued. The digital shrapnel, it came from all sides. The first was from Kylie, a private message on Instagram, sent from a new account. She must have deleted her old one. Riley, I don't know if you'll see this. I had no idea. I swear. Marla told me. She told me it was a ring from her grandmother's estate, that she had it reset for both of us. A family heirloom. I didn't know it was money. I didn't know it was your money, your tuition money. The message continued. I've been sick. I haven't slept. I took the ring off. I tried to give it back to her. And she and Brody, it was a bad scene. They said I was ungrateful. They said I was taking your side. Brody, he's not the man I thought he was. I don't know what to do. I'm so sorry. I looked at the message for a long time. She was collateral damage, a victim of the same system that had tried to drain me. But she was not my responsibility. My focus was singular. I did not reply. The second message was from Brody, a text, pure, unfiltered rage. You have lost your mind. Are you trying to ruin my wedding? Are you actually trying to do this? You embarrassed Mom. You humiliated Kylie. You made a fool of yourself. And for what? For money. It's always about money with you. You're trying to send Mom to jail over a present. You are dead to me. You are not my sister. It was a tantrum. The desperate, incoherent screaming of a child who had just had his favorite stolen toy taken away. I waited 5 minutes for him to finish. A second text came. Kylie won't even talk to me. This is your fault. I typed a single reply. My thumb was steady on the glass. Return the $12,842, and you can get married. I hit send. The third and final piece of the counter-assault came that evening. It was from the one person I had been waiting for. Pastor Glenn. He did not post on my wall. He was too smart for that. He posted on the main church community page, a general reflection for the congregation. In these trying times, he wrote, it is easy to pass judgment. It is easy to see a single act and forget a lifetime of sacrifice. I am reminded today of the incredible, boundless nature of a mother's love. A mother will do anything to see her children happy and secure. She will sacrifice her time, her energy, and her resources. This love is a reflection of God's love. It is not for us to judge the method of that love, but to celebrate the intent, the sacrifice of a mother. My $12,000 resource, the method of fraud. The comments section was an immediate flood of support for the abstract, unnamed mother he was defending. Beautiful words, Pastor. Amen, a mother's heart. We must not let judgment poison our community. Marla's friends, her bridge partners, the entire social infrastructure she had built, they were closing ranks. They were painting her as the victim, and me as the cold, judgmental, unchristian outsider. This was her real counterattack, not the lawyer, the narrative. I read the post. I read every comment. My heart rate did not change. My hand did not shake. I took a screenshot. I saved the link. R016. Pastor Glenn Sacrifice P. Post. I dragged it into the folder. I turned off my phone. I went to bed. The Riverton Mediation Center was not a courtroom. It was designed, with its beige walls, inoffensive abstract art, and muted gray carpet, to be the opposite of a courtroom. It was a place for de-escalation. It was a room built to suck the anger out of you. It did not work. I sat on one side of a long, polished laminate table. Ansel was to my right, his laptop open, his papers arranged in a perfect geometric grid. In the center of the table was a pitcher of lukewarm water and a stack of plastic cups. A large institutional clock on the wall ticked, each second landing with a flat, final thwack. On the other side of the table sat Marla, Brody, and their lawyer, Mr. Hayes. Marla had her church face on a mask of profound, put-upon sadness. Brody just looked angry, his arms crossed, his jaw set, staring a hole in the table. Hayes, their lawyer, looked tired. He had the weary expression of a man who knew he had been dealt an unplayable hand. At the head of the table sat the mediator, a neutral-toned woman in her 50s who introduced herself as Ms. Alvarez. She gave a short, bland speech about finding common ground and the goal of a mutually agreeable resolution. Then, she looked at Ansel. "Mr. Rudd, your side may begin." Ansel did not stand. He did not raise his voice. He simply tapped his trackpad. "Thank you. Ms. Alvarez, my client, Ms. Riley Ward, is not here for a negotiation. She is here to oversee the restitution of a specific sum of money, $12,842. The facts are not in dispute." He turned to a large monitor on the wall. "I have, for the sake of clarity, prepared a visual timeline. It is the same one, printed and numbered, that you all have in the packet in front of you." He clicked, Slide 1, my PowerPoint, the Family News versus Family Cash Flow presentation. It was beautiful. "On this date," he began, "Lakeshore State University issued a refund for Ms. Riley Ward. At 10:04 a.m., it arrived in this custodial account, controlled by Ms. Marla Ward." He clicked again, the bank statement, the red arrow. At 3:20 p.m., less than 6 hours later, Ms. Marla Ward, at Starlight Jewelers, converted the entire sum. He clicked. The high-resolution security camera still of Marla at POS Terminal 774. "She purchased 2 1.2-carat diamond rings," he continued, his voice a steady, cold monotone. "She had them engraved, MK Forever." He clicked, the close-up of the engraved receipt. "She did this using financial access she obtained by forging my client's e-signature on a federal FERPA document, logging in from the Cedar Dunes Country Club. Using the email, Keeper of the Keys." He clicked, the IP log, the Keeper of the Keys email. He clicked one last time, the screenshot of Pastor Glenn's post. She then, with the assistance of her co-defendant, Mr. Brody Ward, and associates, launched a public narrative campaign to rebrand this act of conversion as a family tradition and a mother's sacrifice. He folded his hands. "The facts are clear. The timeline is unbroken. The evidence is absolute. My client demands a full, immediate repayment of the $12,842, plus my legal fees, and a signed, notarized document acknowledging this timeline of events as true." The room was silent. The thwack of the clock filled the void. Mr. Hayes, Marla's lawyer, cleared his throat. He shuffled his own, much thinner, stack of papers. "Ms. Alvarez," he began, his voice placating. "My client, this is a family matter. This is not a case for flowcharts. This is about emotion. It's a misunderstanding." "A $12,000 misunderstanding?" Ansel asked, his voice soft. "My client," Hayes pushed on, ignoring him, "has acted in good faith. This whole thing, this mess. It was about a gift, a beautiful, symbolic gift. My clients they are willing to simply return the rings. They can be returned to Starlight. The whole thing can be undone. There is no need for this." He was offering to return the rings, as if they were a sweater that did not fit. Ansel leaned forward. "Mr. Hayes, let me be perfectly clear. My client is not interested in the rings. The rings are irrelevant. They are used goods. She is interested in the money. The money belongs to her student account. The refund must be made in cash, in full. We are not interested in a store credit from Starlight. We are interested in the return of the $12,842 that was stolen." The word stolen hung in the air. Marla gasped, a perfect theatrical sound. Ms. Alvarez, the mediator, raised a hand. "Let's keep the language productive. Mr. Hayes, your client's proposal is to return the merchandise. Mr. Rudd, your client's proposal is a full financial restitution plus assigned admission. These are very far apart. Let's see if we can find a middle ground." Hayes looked at his notes. "My clients, in the interest of finding common ground, they are prepared to make a financial offer. They will pay 60% of the amount. 60%, and my client, Ms. Ward, will offer a verbal apology for the misunderstanding." 60%. Ansel looked at me. I did not even blink. "No," I said. It was the first word I had spoken. Riley," Marla stammered, her eyes wide. 60%? That's very generous." "It's not your money, Mom," I said. "So your generosity is irrelevant. The offer is not 60%. It is 100%. Hayes sighed. He scribbled on his pad. He leaned over and whispered to Marla and Brody. Brody's face got redder. Marla started to shake her head. "Okay," Hayes said, sitting back up. "My clients, in a final, good-faith effort to put this unfortunate family matter to rest, they will agree. 100%. They will pay the full amount, the full $12,842. But we do not admit fault. We admit no wrongdoing. There will be no signed admission or timeline. We will pay the money, and in return, your client will sign a full non-disclosure agreement, and this matter is over. We pay, but we do not apologize." This was it, the real negotiation, the money for the truth. Ansel spoke before I could. "The money is not the only issue. The truth is the issue. My client has had her name and signature forged. Her professional and academic identity has been compromised. The keeper of the keys email is an ongoing threat. We require the signed, notarized admission that she used the refund without authorization. Without it, there is no deal. We will see you at the public filing." "You can't." Marla suddenly burst out, her voice cracking. The mask was slipping. "You can't—" "A public filing." "Riley, what about the family?" Hayes tried to put a hand on her arm. "Marla, please." She shook him off. She was looking at me, her eyes wild with the terror of exposure. The tears were real now, big, messy, ugly tears. "I did it for us," she shrieked, slamming her hand on the laminate table. The water pitcher rattled. "I did it for the family, for Brody, for Kylie. To show everyone that we are strong, that we are connected. I did it for love, for the family." The room was electric with her performance. The air was thick with it. This was her final nuclear option, the appeal to a greater good that had always been her shield. I waited for her sobs to quiet down to ragged gasps. I waited for her to wipe her nose. I waited for her to look at me, expecting me to melt, to apologize, to be the cold, heartless daughter who finally broke. I looked at her, my face as still as the glass of water in front of me. "No, you didn't," I said. My voice was low, and it cut through her sobs like a scalpel. She stopped. "You did not do it for the family," I said, leaning forward. "You did it for the picture. You did it for the Instagram post. You did it for Pastor Glenn's wife and the bridge club. You did it so you could get awes at a party. You did it for the theme. And you did it for Brody. You did it for him, but you did not do it for the family. And you certainly did not do it for me." The silence that followed was total. I had taken her narrative, the last weapon she had, and I had disarmed it. Brody just stared at me, his mouth open. Marla looked like I had physically struck her. Ms. Alvarez, the mediator, cleared her throat, a sharp, uncomfortable sound. "It seems," she said, closing her own folder, "that we are at an impasse. We have one offer of 100%, with no admission of fault. We have one demand for 100%, with an admission of fault. Neither side is willing to move." She stood up. "I am required to file a report of impasse. However, I will give both parties a final cooling-off period. You have 7 days, 7 calendar days. If in that time, you can reach a private, voluntary resolution, you may file it with my office, and the matter is closed. If not, this mediation is officially over, and Mr. Rudd is free to file his complaint." She looked at Marla and Brody. 7 days. I suggest you use them wisely." The drive back with Ansel was silent. "You were correct," he said as he pulled up to my building. "You didn't argue. You presented." That night, I sat in my apartment. The high of the confrontation was gone, replaced by a dull, aching quiet. The 7 days loomed. I knew my mother. She would never sign the admission. This was going to trial. At 11:30 p.m., an email landed in my inbox. It was from an anonymous, encrypted address. No reply, Proton Mail. Calm. The subject line was one word: proof. I almost deleted it as spam. But my training took over. I opened it. The email was empty. There was only one attachment, a JPEG file. I downloaded it. I opened it. It was a receipt, a grainy thermal paper receipt from a digital scanner. From Easy Pawn Jewelry, Cedar Dunes, date today, 6:45 p.m. Item for appraisal. 111.2 CT. Princess cut diamond ring, G color, size 7. Customer Brody Ward, appraisal value, $1,800. Transaction pending, customer declined offer. My breath caught in my throat. He had tried to pawn it. He had taken his mother's symbolic as family ring, the one she had just hours before screamed she had bought for love, and he had taken it to a pawn shop. The size 7, not Kylie's, his, the one Marla had bought for herself and given to him to hold on to. Or perhaps he had stolen it from her. It did not matter. He had tried to liquidate the evidence. My hands were not shaking this time. They were perfectly still. I forwarded the email to Ansel. Subject RE case file update. Urgent. Body. Ansel, they're not just refusing to admit. They are actively attempting to dispose of the assets. Brody tried to pawn the size 7 ring this evening. See attached. This changes the heirloom defense. This is our leverage. I hit send. Then, I composed a second email to the legal department at Starlight Jewelers, copying Ansel. Subject urgent. Stolen asset disposition M. Ward purchase to whom it may concern. I am writing to inform you that the merchandise purchased by Marla Ward on date, specifically the size 7 ring, has been taken to a third-party pawnbroker. See attached receipt. As your firm is now aware, this item was purchased with fraudulent funds and is subject to our ongoing legal complaint. It is no longer an heirloom. It is now a second-hand, pawned item. Riley Ward, C. Ansel Rudd, Counsel. I hit send. The 7-day deadline, I thought, just got a lot shorter. The pawnshop receipt was not leverage. It was an accelerant. The 7-day cooling-off period, mandated by the mediator, was based on the assumption that both parties were arguing in good faith. Brody's 6:45 p.m. visit to EasyPawn proved they were not. They were actively destroying the evidence, attempting to liquidate the very assets under dispute. I sent the email to Ansel at 11:30 p.m. When I woke up, I had a reply. Sent at 7:01 a.m., the subject action taken. Ansel had not waited. He had taken my email, attached the pawn shop receipt as Exhibit C, and electronically filed a formal complaint in Riverton County Court at the moment the registrar opened. Ward v. Ward. He had simultaneously filed for an emergency temporary restraining order and a preliminary injunction. The filing was not just for the $12,842 plus fees. It was now, thanks to Brody, a motion to prevent the dissipation and spoliation of assets. He was not just asking for the money, he was asking a judge to legally forbid Marla and Brody from selling, hiding, or pawning the rings. He was freezing the assets. The beehive had been kicked. Now, the hornets were coming home. The first call was from LSU, the university's general counsel. Having received a copy of our official court filing and the finalized forgery affidavit, was in full damage control mode. They were terrified of the press. A student's financial aid being stolen by a parent via a forged FERPA was a public relations nightmare. 2 days later, an internal memo was leaked from the university president's office. It spoke of a recent security incident and the immediate implementation of mandatory two-factor authentication for all student financial portals. They were covering themselves. Ansel received a formal private letter confirming the university had officially designated the disbursement as fraudulent, external, and would lend all necessary administrative support to assist in the clawback. They were on my side, not because it was right, but because it was safe. The second call was from Starlight Jewelers. My email to their legal department had done its job. They were a luxury brand. They did not like being associated with pawn shops, forged documents, or civil complaints. They did not send a polite letter. They sent a legal demand notice to Marla. Certified mail. They stated that the items in her possession, one size 6 ring and one size 7 ring, had been purchased with funds credibly alleged to be the proceeds of fraud. This made the transaction void. They demanded the immediate return of both rings to their corporate headquarters, or they would be forced to file their own complaint for Replevin, a legal action to recover stolen goods. Marla and Brody were now officially cornered. I was suing them for the money. Starlight was suing them for the merchandise. LSU was cooperating with me. The legal pressure immediately translated into personal panic. My phone rang on Thursday afternoon. It was Brody. I had not spoken to him since the mediation. The rage was gone from his voice. It had been replaced by something I had never heard from him before. Fear. Riley. His voice was thin, cracking. Riley, please, you have to stop this. I waited. Starlight is calling, he whispered, as if he were afraid someone was listening. They're calling Mom. They're calling me. They're using words like stolen property and fraudulent conveyance. Mom she's locked in her room. She won't come out. You're trying to send her to jail, aren't you? Over rings, sis. Please, you have to help me. You have to help us. The plea hung in the air, pathetic and hollow. He was not sorry. He was scared. I already told you how to help yourself, Brody, I said. My voice was flat. What are you talking about? You help yourself by transferring the money. You transfer the $12,842. That is the only way this stops. We don't have it, he cried. She spent. Riley, please. Then I guess you'll have to find it, I said, and I hung up. The final domino fell the next day. An email arrived in Ansel's inbox, copied to Starlight's legal department. It was from Kylie. It was brief, clinical, and devastating. To all parties, I am overnighting the size 6 ring. engraving MK Forever, via insured FedEx, directly to the Starlight Jewelers corporate office. I will not be a party to this fraud. My engagement to Brody Ward is hereby postponed, indefinitely. Please remove my name from all future correspondence. She was out. She had seen the burning building and she had taken the fire escape. She had returned her ring. Now, only Marla and Brody were left holding the other one, the one Brody had tried to pawn. Even the digital battlefield went quiet. I checked the church community page. Pastor Glenn's reflection on a mother's sacrifice, the one he had posted to defend Marla, was gone, deleted. No retraction, no apology, just a quiet, cowardly scrubbing of the timeline. It did not matter. I had already saved the screenshots. I took a new one of the empty space where his post had been. RR01 Pastor Glenn post, deleted. PNG. I dragged it to the folder. The pieces were all in place. The pressure was total. The Riverton County Court, unconcerned with our private drama, had scheduled the initial case conference. This was the first official mandatory appearance before a clerk of the court. It was no longer a private mediation. This was a public proceeding. The night before the conference, Ansell's phone rang. It was Mr. Hayes, their lawyer. Ansell called me immediately after. They folded, he said. The satisfaction in his voice was palpable. They just sent the white flag. Hayes called, practically begging. They want to avoid appearing in court tomorrow. They want to propose a private, out-of-court settlement. No, I said. No? Ansell asked, surprised. No, they don't get to propose it. We do. They don't get to set the terms. I do. Send them our terms. Not as a proposal, as a final stipulation. Take it or leave it. We drafted it in 10 minutes. It was not a negotiation. It was a list of demands. 1 full restitution, the wire transfer of $12,842 must be in my new secure account by 5 p.m. tomorrow. A separate bank check for Ansell's full legal fees must be delivered to his office by the same time. 2. The admission, the document Marla had dreaded, a single page, titled Statement of Facts. It would state, in clear legal language, that Marla Ward had, without authorization, accessed my student portal, diverted my financial aid refund, and used it for personal gain. She would sign it. Brody would sign it as a witness. 3. The digital guillotine, a signed addendum permanently canceling any and all parental authorizations, FERPA releases, medical power of attorney, or any other document that listed her as my proxy. 4. A permanent injunction, a legally binding clause, to be filed with the court, forbidding Marla and Brody from ever accessing or attempting to access any of my financial, academic, or medical accounts for the rest of their lives. Ansell sent the document to Hayes. The response from Hayes came an hour later. Mr. Rudd, my clients are prepared to agree to all financial and injunctive terms. However, the statement of facts, Ms. Ward, she is finding it difficult. It feels punitive. It is a significant loss of face. Ansell and I were on a video call. He read the email, then looked at me. He's right. It is. Read him this, I said. Verbatim. Ansell typed as I spoke. Mr. Hayes, please inform your client that losing face is significantly cheaper than losing the case. A public court filing will be far more punitive. These are the terms. There are no others. We gave them a deadline. 5 p.m. tomorrow. The exact time the case conference was supposed to happen. The next morning. I went to Ansell's office. He printed the full settlement agreement. All pages. I picked up the pen. I signed my name at the bottom of the signature page. Scan this, I told him. Send it to Hayes. Show him my signature is already on the document. Tell him it's contingent on one thing, the plink of the wire transfer notification on my phone. Tell them I'm waiting. I was done. I had pre-signed the victory. All that was left was the transaction. The 5 p.m. deadline was a silent, gray wall. I sat in Ansell's glass-walled conference room. I had been there since 3. We were not talking. I was just watching my phone, which was face up on the desk. My banking app was open. The pre-signed settlement agreement sat on Ansell's desk. A scanned copy already sent to Hayes. A promise contingent on a transaction. 4:30 p.m. Nothing. 4:40. The only sound was the HVAC. I was not nervous. I was static. This was the binary part of the equation. 1 or 0. At 4:42 p.m., the screen lit up. It was not a text. It was a push notification from the bank itself. The small green banner appeared at the top of my screen. Wire transfer received, saw 12 as. $842. I tapped it. My finger steady. The app opened. There it was. A single beautiful line item. Wire in P2P, Ward, Marla S. Refund restitution. It was all there. $12,842, down to the cent. I slid the phone across the glass table to Ansel. He looked at it, a small, satisfied nod. His own computer chimed. "Fees are in," he said. He closed his laptop. It was done. Ansel forwarded me 2 final pieces of correspondence. The first was a formal confirmation from Starlight Jewelers, their legal team, efficient and cold, confirmed they had received 2 packages. One, containing the size 6 ring, had been returned by a Ms. Kylie last name. The second, the size 7 ring, had been recovered by their asset team from the Easy Pawn in Cedar Dunes. The pawnbroker had released it, without issue, upon receipt of a full bailing fee paid by Marla Ward. The rings were no longer my problem. They were the store's problem. The second email was from Hayes. "My clients are en route to the notary's office now." We met them there. It was not Ansel's polished office. It was a generic, street-level establishment that smelled of old paper and toner. Marla and Brody were already there, standing near a vinyl-covered chair. Hayes looked like he had not slept. Ansel laid the signature packet on the counter. "One last thing," I said. Marla, who had been staring at the floor, flinched. "We're adding an addendum," I said. Ansel, having already prepared it, pulled a single, fresh page from his briefcase. "It's a final declaration. It explicitly and permanently forbids you, Marla, from ever using my name, my date of birth, or my social security number to open an account, sign an authorization, or create any form of proxy, financial or medical, for the rest of your life. It is a lifetime FERPA ban." Hayes snatched the paper. He read it. He looked at Marla. "It's a formality at this point. It just puts in writing what the injunction already implies. Sign it." Marla looked at me. Her face was pale, blotchy from crying, but her eyes were not sad. They were hot. They were full of a deep, bottomless resentment. She knew, in this moment, she had lost, not the money. She had lost access. She took the pen. Her hand was shaking, not the dramatic, performative sobs from the mediation. This was a fine, neurological tremor of suppressed rage. She signed her name. It was not her usual, looping, arrogant signature. It was small, cramped, and angry. Brody signed as a witness. He did not look at me. He looked at the wall, his jaw tight. As we were packing our briefcases, a voice came from the doorway. "Riley?" It was Kylie. She was not with Brody. She was alone. She looked tired. But here, in this sterile, fluorescent-lit room, she looked more real than she ever had at the bridal shower. I wanted to say I'm sorry," she said. Her voice was quiet, but it did not waver. "For my part in it, for being so stupid, for not asking where it came from." She twisted her left hand, her finger bare. "I told Brody. I told him I'll buy my own ring, when I'm ready, with my own money." I nodded once. It was not my apology to accept, but I understood it. Marla was watching us. She was watching me. Her eyes wet, waiting. She was waiting for the final scene, the reconciliation, the tears, the hug, the daughter's betrayal, or the daughter's forgiveness. She was waiting for me to say, "It's okay," or, "How could you?" I gave her neither. I zipped my briefcase. I looked at her, my mother. "This wasn't war. Mom," I said. My voice was not cold, and it was not warm. It was just an observation. Boundaries aren't war. They're just order. I turned and walked out. I went home. I did not order champagne. I did not call a friend. I completed the final sweep. I logged into every account I owned. I changed every password to a new 64-character randomized string. I deleted any parent contact information. I confirmed the two-factor authenticator app was the only way in. Then I wrote one final email to the LSU bursar's office, copying the general counsel. Subject resolved. Student ID 904B. To whom it may concern, I am writing to confirm that the fraudulent disbursement of $12,842 has been fully restituted to me as of 4:42 p.m. today. The matter is legally resolved. I request that a permanent, non-delectable note be added to my student file, detailing this incident, the forged FERPA, and the associated parties to prevent any future unauthorized access. Thank you for your cooperation in this matter. Regards, Riley Ward. That night, my apartment felt too small, the air too still. I walked. I went down to the Riverwalk. The wind off the water cold and clean. The city lights reflected on the dark surface, a billion moving data points. I sat on a bench and opened my personal journal for the first time in weeks. I wrote one sentence: family is not a central bank. A week later, life had settled into its new, stronger shape. A colleague at North Pier, a woman I admired from the data science team, came to my desk. "Riley," she said, "you're a quant. You're good with this stuff. My sister wants a family loan to start her Etsy shop. She wrote up this agreement. Should I just give her the money?" The old me would have been uncomfortable. The old me would have said, "I don't know. Family is tricky." The new me took the paper. I read it. I opened a new document and created a simple 10-point risk assessment checklist. I handed it back to her. "Don't analyze this as her sister," I said. "Analyze it as an investor. If she can't pass this checklist, she's not a good investment. I'll help you run the numbers, but I won't give you the answer." She looked at me, surprised, and then smiled. "A checklist. That's perfect. Thank you." The last ghost was exorcised that Friday. A text message. Pastor Glenn. "Riley, I have heard that the unpleasantness with your family has been resolved. I am praying for healing for you and your mother." My thumbs were fast on the screen. My reply was instant. "Thank you, Pastor. Healing starts with repayment, and repayment is complete." He did not text back. I am in my apartment now, on the corkboard above my desk. I have one piece of paper pinned. It is not an award. It is not a degree. It is the printed confirmation of the wire transfer. Refund restitution. It is not a trophy. It is not a symbol of victory. It is a balanced ledger, a corrected error. The final click of the two-factor authentication, locking the door behind me. I did not demand the rings back. I demanded my authority back. Thank you all so much for listening. I would love to know where you are tuning in from. So drop a comment below and share your thoughts on this story. Please subscribe to Maya Revenge Stories, like this video, and give it an extra boost by hitting that hype button so more people can hear this story.